don't know quite what to say. I think I should learn some jokes. And that would probably be, because my worry is that I'm the example of the workaholic. And so I may be a negative example for you, but let me try saying a few things. I remember a particular point in my teaching career when I was asked what I still think is the hardest question a student ever asked me. It's a question posed by this session. How do you manage to keep all your priorities in balance? Now, the question was not motivated by a question about whether this was a key to success. The question was how to manage to keep things in balance. Now, my wife would be the first to tell you that in the more than 50 years we have been married to each other, I still haven't managed to get this right. Perhaps I can give one example of how I have fallen short. One day, one of my closest friends in the legal world came by my house just as my wife was taking out the garbage. "Louise," he exclaimed, "you shouldn't be doing that. Cole should." Without missing a beat, my wife replied, "Bill, Cole doesn't know we have garbage." In the year since, I've rightly tried to do what Bill thought I should have been doing that night. And I actually do take out the garbage sometimes. But the comment with my wife's trademark humor identified the obvious. I wasn't getting the balance right. Now, in my defense, let me say it was not for lack of trying. I have thought deeply about my core values throughout my life, and I remember reading Henry David Thoreau in high school and resonating with his explanation of why he decided to spend 2 years of his life at Walden Pond. He said, quote, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived." Now, my perception is that achieving life balance is particularly critical to the challenge in the life of busy legislators, and I'm confident that you look at me as an academic saying you don't begin to understand the pressures, and that may well be true. But let me share a few reflections on achieving life balance. I do think it's really important to actually take time to think deeply about understanding your core values. In my case, the core values for most of us, they're things like family, core values such as humility, honesty, integrity, the importance of loving God and other human beings. I don't know what your particular set of values are, but it is clear that if you don't take that question seriously, you are unlikely to achieve what is optimal work-life balance for you. It's highly unlikely that you will reach that balance by accident. That being true, one of the most useful things you can do is spend some time thinking about what the most important values are. And there are a lot of ways of doing this. Everything from writing New Year's resolutions and really taking it seriously, or thinking about where you want to be in 5 years, or one of the things that's been striking to me, and maybe it's because I'm getting older, but going to funerals and listening what other people say and thinking about what I would like to have people say about me. Anyway, there are a lot of ways that you can do this, but whatever tack you take, be conscious that you need to repeat such exercises with some frequency to recalibrate the kind of balance you want to achieve. If you're like most people, you will find that achieving balance is a consistent struggle. Daily life tends to send curves that derail your best intentions and call for reevaluation on a daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly basis. In short, on an ongoing basis. Balance is not reaching equipoise, it's sort of reaching a dynamic equilibrium, reacting to very real and often unexpected pressures, and shifting all the time as a result. Now, I've read all kinds of suggestions on time management, and actually I've lived long enough that I've sort of seen the history of these various things, and I can only report that the latest thinking seems to be resigned to the realities of email, messaging apps, and so forth. For any professional these days, it's impossible to ignore the demands of lists that are automatically thrust upon us by these devices. And typical recent advice is to take care of anything you can do in under 2 minutes, and then create tasks out of the rest, except that then you end up with 937 tasks that are not done, so that doesn't seem to work either. I don't know how you deal with all of this, but one thing I would say is that you need to find a way on a daily and weekly basis to step back and divide the onslaught of tasks into categories. An easy way to do this is to just take a piece of paper and make it into 4 quadrants and list the significant and urgent things on the upper left, significant and non-urgent on the upper right, non-significant and urgent, non-significant, non-urgent on the lower right, and non-significant, urgent on the lower left. Draw this out and you'll get the point. I mean, the difficulty is the urgent, significant things tend to dominate and get taken care of. They force themselves on us and we have to do them. The insignificant, non-urgent things do tend to get left by the wayside. The urgent, insignificant things tend to eat away at us, and if you can find ways to sort of get them out of the way, that's good, because what really gets left behind is the non-urgent but significant things. Things like our families, things like taking time for ourselves, rest, reading, whatever your hobbies are, etc. But those need to be taken care of. And so finding a way to sort those out and see what they are and make sure they don't get neglected is really vital. Now, let me just share 2 other things that I've thought a lot about. The first is to beware of the excessive allure of some of your fundamental values. This may be values embedded in your professional life. I'm a lawyer and a law professor, and I found that law, like most professions, is a jealous mistress and can consume all available time. It makes infinite demands that outstrip our mortal finitude. Particularly when your professional work aligns with other fundamental values, as has been the case for me, it is all too easy to neglect other matters. And so that's the case where sometimes our core values can become over-dominant, and we have to be a little bit careful about that because other things get compromised and we lose balance. I've been blessed with a forgiving wife, but the pressures of my life have taken their toll, and I have shortchanged her much more than I should. I owe her much more than taking out the garbage cans. A final point is to remember that there are deeper sources than popular self-management books that should be consulted. One of the great strands in human intellectual tradition is wisdom literature. For me, one of the most profound pieces of guidance came to me from a mentor who shared a concept from the Bhagavad Gita. Learn to love the labor and not the fruit thereof. And another comes from the New Testament. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other things, food, clothing, material necessities, will be added unto you. Still another is from Confucius. Continuous self-cultivation is the road to become a sage who has acquired perfectly balanced virtues. Again, continuous self-cultivation is the key. My concluding point is that when you are reflecting on your core values, don't neglect considering the reflections of those who have reflected best.